All right. Then for the recording as well, for those of you watching this afterwards or watching it again because it was such a good webinar, welcome everyone. My name is Madeline. I'm the project manager at UltraHack and also part of organizing this Location Intelligence for Smart Cities hackathon. To get you all started and to tell you a bit more about what this is, how can you take part of this amazing event, and any other information that you might need, we are organizing this informative webinar today. And I will start by sharing my screen and then we can get started for real. Perfect. So today we will first have an introduction of our main partners. So we have the Estonian Land Port and also National Land Survey of Finland. The introduction of the Estonian Land Port will be given to you by Sulev Ötsbiu, and then also Joonas Jokela from Maanmittauslaitos will give you the National Land Survey introduction. I want to give a big thanks in the beginning already to you guys for making it possible for us to organize this event. After this, Joonas will keep presenting the actual hackathon event. What is the challenge? What are the resources, prices, and why should you join this event? After this, we will jump into a very, very interesting panel discussion. And then also I will take over after this to give you some practicalities. How do you apply to this event and so on? Without further ado, I would give over the word to Sulev Ötsbiu.
Hello, I'm from Estonian Land Board, and Estonian Land Board is participating in this Geo-tree project, and I'm the project leader from Estonian side. And in the Land Board, I'm head of the Bureau of Geo-Info Systems, and main field are those all this kind of web services, spatial web services, and web map applications. Next slide. Okay, and about the Estonian Land Board is a state institution under the government Ministry of the Environment, and we are in a quite small, probably like 300 employees. It depends. Every day is something changes, and we are state funding 100%. Next. And main activities or fields where we are working on is implementation of national land policy, everything knowledge about land and cadastre, and the big field is geoinformatics and producing different kind of data, geodetic, geological, topographical, address data, and so on. Next. And here is the different fields in geomatics field that we are working on, that it's quite wide spatial data sector, and all this data, you see, it's open data. It's available free for everybody. So basically, in context of this hackathon, beside this Geo-tree data, all this data is also available if somebody finds that it's good to use in some solution. Next. And yeah, this is briefly that we have a whole this production line in-house. So we collecting the data with plane, LiDAR, orthophotos. We have managing this geodetical network, and we producing then this topographic database and producing the maps from database orthophotos, base maps, and so on. So all the product line is in-house. Next. And this cooperation with the public sector is quite wide. Almost all public sector institutions and ministries and local governments, and also private sector and third sector and private natural persons using our data, or we have some kind of cooperation between them. Next. And according again this hackathon, the information metadata about the data and services is available in this spatial data catalog, where participants can then search and find different kind of open data. Probably it's good to know or look beforehand which kind of data is available and how to use it, or his some ideas probably to have more data for solutions. Next. Yes, here is also some lists about different kind of service types we're providing. And next. And one reason we participating in this GeoAT3 project and in this hackathon that we have already prototype of Estonian digital twin. Next, where we have all these 3D buildings and some are also trees, bridges, tunnels, and some wind generators and other elements already covered with 3D elements covered full Estonia. And the second reason is also that we're starting now this Geo 3D strategy, where we starting with analyzing whole this product line from technology to visualization, and that's why we're starting next month this business analysis, and this hackathon could be good also good input for this analysis. Next. And we're looking this kind of information about or back this kind of feedback our data and our services, that we have already this 3D data prototype and how to use what are the user needs and which kind of format is needed, and which kind of alphanumerical data it's needed, and so on. That we from land board there are going to be at least 2 mentors. One is a data expert and the other one is service expert, and also I will participate in a jury also. And that's the short description. Thank you. Microphone.
Thank you again. Okay. So thank you for this introduction of the land board and also your part in the hackathon, and then why others should join as well. Yes. Without further ado, I think I'm gonna go forward and then we'll leave the questions for after. So big thanks again. And next I would like to ask Joonas Jokela, Chief Specialist from the National Land Survey of Finland, to open his camera and mic and tell us a bit more about your organization and also the hackathon itself.
Yeah, thank you. And yes, I'm Joonas Jokela, and as said, I'm from the National Land Survey of Finland, and we are pretty much the same organization as the land board of Estonia, but of course in Finland. And what we do is basically we conduct land surveys, we maintain information about real estate properties and apartments, and we do a lot of research in the geospatial domain. But what we also do is that we produce a lot of location data. We are one of the biggest location data producers in Finland, and that is why we are here today. We can go to the next slide. And big part of our policy is that all of the location data that we produce is by default that we try to make it as open as possible. So wherever we can see an opportunity to open a data set for the public, we do that. And that means that like we hope that the society basically finds as much use from the data as possible, which basically means that like we keep getting funding. So like we don't sell the data, but through the innovations we help the country as a whole to move forward, and by that like get more value to the society. Yep, we can go to the next one. And as Estonia, we have all this data available through our portals. And here's a, for example picture on how you can download the data. We can go to the next one. Yeah, so one of the biggest reasons why we are like here in this hackathon today is Location Innovation Hub. And this hackathon is basically one part of this innovation hub. And this Location Innovation Hub is one of the European digital innovation hubs from Finland. And all of these European like innovation hubs are part of EU's new Digital Europe program. And through this, yeah, you can go to the next slide. We aim to help different size businesses, mainly focusing on startups and SMEs. And we aim to help them to leverage location data in their business models to add value to various parts of their value chains. And we know that location data is used in pretty much every business there is. It's used directly or indirectly. However, usually this data works in the background, hidden from most eyes, and we believe that due to this, there's a vast amount of unused potential in the location data. And what we want to do is we want to bring awareness to different location data services and technologies in order to get more out of the location data. So how we do that is we basically have different. I lost the slide. Okay. Yeah, how we do that is we basically offer various services through the innovation hub and different resources and different networks to help these businesses to leverage the location data and to understand the location data better. And we focus mainly on four themes. So built environment, bioeconomy, health and well-being, and transport and logistics. And today's hackathon is an amazing opportunity since all of the themes are really important from the perspective of smart cities. You can go to the next slide. I'm not going to go much into this slide, except I want you to pay attention to the values or the numbers on the right side of the slide. And those are basically numbers that have been studied about the geospatial or the location industry in Europe and in Finland. And we believe that, or we want to be part of the process where we accelerate the process of utilizing location data better so that we can reach higher potential in the economical benefits that it can bring. But that is all I want to say about the National Land Survey and the Location Innovation Hub. So let's get to the hackathon, so the challenge, prizes and resources that are available to you. So you can jump to the next slide. So the theme of this hackathon is basically smart cities meet location data. And we know that more and more data is collected each day through various sensors. These sensors might be a LiDAR attached to a car, or they can be sensors attached to a building measuring some kind of aspect, for example, in the air quality. And most of the data that is collected can be attached to a certain object or an area through location data. So now we can ask, like, how can we use this information that is constantly collected to make more efficient use of the physical infrastructure that we have in the city? How can we engage effectively with the local governance? And how can we learn and adapt faster to challenges like climate change or energy crisis, or, for example, the COVID-19 that happened? Yep, you can jump to the next one. So in this hackathon, we are hoping that you will innovate different kind of solutions or applications to enhance the value chain of the management of the assets, resources, and services within the smart city ecosystem by using location-based data. And we hope that all of these innovations that you come up with are as universal as possible. So, for example, if you create an application that works in, let's say, Helsinki, that same applications with as little modifications can be used, for example, in Tallinn or Stockholm or Paris or whatever. So as long as there's like data available in or similar data available in different parts of the world, we hope that like these solutions and applications can be replicated to different parts of the world as easily as possible. And we have the base data, which is in the next slide. And this data can be combined into any other open source data that you can find. It doesn't matter what kind of data it is, but if you can find it openly on the internet, you can use it. And the base data that has to be used on the applications or the solutions are mentioned on these slides. And these are the E3 project data that Sulev mentioned. So the data includes, for example, 3D building data that you saw like examples in Sulev's slides, road data, and digital terrain model data and digital surface model data. So basically elevation information, and then different climate data. We also have for you like a lot of really awesome mentors that can help you understand more about the data that we are offering, more about location data as a whole, more about open data, open source data that is available on the internet. And of course, from the business side, like if you come up with an application or a solution, you can use our mentors to basically figure out if it makes sense in the business sense. And yeah, we can jump into the next one. So now you can ask yourself, what in the smart city ecosystem can be improved with location data? What is the ecosystem lacking? And how can you leverage the location data to improve the situation? So yeah, as mentioned, you can combine the data to any available open source data. And for example, here are a few inspirations. There are this paikkatietoikkuna that we have, and there are a lot of different layers of open data. We have Helsinki Region InfoShare that has also a lot of open data, and the open data that is available on the internet is basically unlimited. And the Estonian side, as you saw on Sulev's slides, there are also like a lot of open data from Estonia. So what is the best way to solve your problem that you've noticed, and how could you improve the lives of certain groups of people, different businesses, or even the society as a whole? So we hope that like you really go into or get into this hackathon and find ways to really innovate, and you can basically have a free reign on like what kind of team you go into, what kind of focus area you have, and what can you do with the location data in the smart city ecosystem. And yeah, you can jump to the last slide. So the prizes. So we have a 10,000 euro prize pool, and that is divided between top teams. And then also we have for the top 1 to 3 teams a chance to travel to Germany, to Leipzig Data Week, to pitch the hackathon idea. And we will provide one person per team travel expenses paid trip there. But that is about what I wanted to say.
Many. Thank you, Jonas, for the introduction and also a better deep dive into the with resources and prices and everything. Thank you very much. And I already saw a question in the chat if you will get these slides and get to look at these again later. The answer is yes, you will get all these materials. So you can get more familiar with all the content later as well. All right. Then I will jump into the next. There we go. Into the next topic, which is our expert panel discussion. And I would like to bring up Teemu Lehtinen from KIRAhub, Juho-Pekka Virtanen from Forum Virium, and also Henry Patzig from Tallinn University of Technology. We will have a discussion of smart cities and, well, you'll hear in a minute or two. But first of all, maybe we go a round of introductions. Could I get the panelists in order to present yourself with a few words?
Sure, I can start. So, hi everybody, my name is Teemu Lehtinen. I'm the CEO of KIRAhub. KIRAhub is a joint innovation hub for the built environment sector here in Helsinki, Finland. We were founded by other industry associations related to the built environment, real estate and construction and so on. Our mission is basically to accelerate sustainable digital transformation of the whole built environment sector. And we have a lot of activities, projects, also our physical hub to support that. So happy to be on the panel.
Thank you, Teemu, and thanks for joining. Juho-Pekka, do you want to go next with a few words about yourself?
Yeah, I can go. Good evening, everybody. Great to be here. I'm Juho-Pekka Virtanen from Forum Virium Helsinki. We are an innovation company owned entirely by the city of Helsinki, so most of our work is somehow related to the context of cities and especially Helsinki. We have two primary goals. We want to support the digitalization in Helsinki, and secondly also support companies that use Helsinki as a test bed or a starting point for development. In practice, this occurs over a number of projects, such as Horizon European Union projects. My role is to act as a product owner for our digital twin efforts, and in practice this means that I'm aiming to coordinate a development trajectory for DT in Helsinki and across our projects. And great to be here, and I hope that we have a tremendously interesting panel for you guys.
Thank you, and that makes two of us. And lastly, Henry, please introduce yourself in a few words.
Hi, also from my side. So I'm from, as already introduced, Finnish Center for Smart Cities. So we are a organization that is part of Tallinn University of Technology. The aim of the center is to improve urban environments, which is very important. So this is the first part, but also that we try to improve this by testing new technologies. And this comes up through the research that is being done within Taltech, but also in Aalto University, who is our partnering organization, and also with collaboration with universities pretty much across the globe. So I'm related more project or leading project and project development. So finding new opportunities to use our technologies in different projects and finding partners to collaborate with. And just to mention, Helsinki is also one of the founding partners, so we have very good working collaboration with them.
Perfect. Thank you so much for that. And I am by no means an expert within this area, but I will be a part of this panel discussion just with asking questions and then cutting you off if I feel like we're running long. I'm sure you guys have a lot to say about all of these topics, so forgive me in advance if I will cut you off at any point. But without further ado, I would jump into question number 1. How well do you see that location intelligence is currently utilized in a smart city context? And I open the floor for discussion, so whoever feels brave enough to start.
Okay, I can start. So I think there's always room for improvement. Of course, I think what we've seen so far is mostly kind of point solutions with a certain focus. And what I see kind of the next generation of services is going more to the kind of holistic way of serving citizens, but also the city as an operator of this public service. So I think these two perspectives are really important. How can we increase for example, I would maybe say the word citizen experience in the city, and the other part is how can we run a city more efficiently and kind of taking different things into account so that we can start optimizing things. So maybe we have been utilizing location data, and almost every data may have the kind of location context, but then to really get the actual location intelligence in place, that will still require some work.
So,
Any additional comments? Yes.
From my side, we can see that there is quite exceptional examples from the industry side and the private sector side that have sort of fine-tuned their business case using location data quite well. But if we come to the public sector side and the sort of human-centric side, which so that the well-being of the citizens is the key issue. There is we are in the beginning of the road, I would say. Just as an example, so I live actually in Tartu in Estonia, and so Tartu has launched their Smart Tartu website, where everyone can sort of see the data sets being visualized on a city map. And you can tell that this is a very early adoption. So there is still a long way to go before this will become actually useful tool to anyone and would improve anyone's life.
Yeah. Fantastic points. It's so many things to connect to, but I'll try to keep this short nonetheless. I make 2 points. 2 points. First about, we mentioned citizen well-being and the human aspects, and I think it's great to hear them being mentioned increasingly. I think a lot of smart cities started off being very technical. It's understandable because all of that technology had to be developed and so forth. But now that a lot of tech is reaching a mature state, I think it's time to move towards a human dimension in smart cities and actually apply them to these human cases that we have. And I think this is a significant development direction. And you know, it goes quite well aligned with what cities actually are. If we think of the nature of cities aren't machines. Cities are essentially, like, to a big percentage, cities are human action, and cities are human organizations. And if we don't have the human dimension in city data, we're left working with a pretty tiny percentage of it, actually. The second point I make up the comment about the private operators or the commercial side. I think this is more of a challenge for organizational development in city organizations, that a lot of the production of geospatial data has been very, very city-centric. You know, cities have been accustomed to procuring this data or producing it themselves and then distributing it. And to some extent, this probably also holds true for national mapping agencies. But now that we have technological solutions that actually turn many processes into data producers, we've got data coming in from all types of sensor installations. We've got data coming in from smart mobility, and this kind of raises the bar in the city side to be able to use this data somehow. So instead of just like one directional data where city produces data and then shares it, we should also in cities be able to take in the new data that's coming from the commercial side and use it.
Very, very true. Does someone want to comment on each other's comments at this point?
I think in several cases, actually accessing the private or data from the industry side can be quite difficult. So I've heard it from cities and from researchers both, that they are just not able to access the data because the concerns want to keep the data to themselves, and they are actually conducting research based on the same data. So they're not really enthusiastic about giving the data out.
Yes, thank you for those comments. All very good comments so far. You mentioned a bit the room for development in cities. So I would go in that direction a bit and ask, what do you see that are the biggest opportunities that location intelligence could bring to smart cities and develop them?
If I may to continue, I think the biggest opportunity is in the kind of citizens and individuals and people and kind of providing more even real-time holistic services in a city environment. I think as an example, most usual use case that we do is wayfinding. Mostly the services that we utilize for wayfinding is basically what I can do is to find the quickest route or then the quickest way of transport from A to B. Still, again, we have a lot of data from our city surroundings, air quality data, pollution data, different places for kids and different focus groups. So why can't I kind of do wayfinding, for example, regarding the safest route to my home, for example, at night, or least polluted route to my work, so that I stay healthy, or maybe even my sustainable impact. What if I wanted to go from A to B with least kind of emissions? I think we already have data and technology in place to utilize that, but we don't yet have those kind of services. Or if I'm with my kids, wanted to go on a weekend stroll somewhere and spend some time during the route with interesting places for kids. That's not really easy to solve if I'm in a new city environment, etc. So just some ideas there.
I'm
Very
handing
good
the mic onward.
Very good examples, and I've been actually struggling very much with the similar topics that having the technology and having the data available necessarily doesn't translate into a service. And but in many occasions, also on the public service side, it's the issue of being also locked in within your own country or even within your own city. And so one of the things we want to focus, besides putting the human in the center at our center, is cross-border. So data transfer cross-border, meaning that data services that you can use when you move into another country or a daily basis go to work, or you're exchange students. So meaning that you don't feel the transition from one country to the other in that significant way. And private companies, if you said about route finding, they work exceptionally well on this. I really don't have to change anything on my Google when I change countries, right? But when it comes to parking, buying a bus ticket, and many other services which are even more complicated than these two simple examples, then it comes impossible to do it. So we have smart cities but stupid regions.
Yeah, I think you touched upon a very important point there, that being the interoperability in the smart city applications and data and essentially everything we do in smart cities. And I think that in the geospatial domain, we've had things like the Inspire directive, and we have standardization organizations that do quite good work in drafting standards and so forth. So we have sort of a good starting point for coming up with interoperable solutions. But what still needs to emerge, in my opinion, is that a lot of the stuff related to digital twins is still very loosely within the grasp of existing standards. So we have need for also new standardization work and new work towards ensuring the interoperability. Second point that I kind of like to make when you mentioned about these biggest opportunities of geoinformation or location intelligence in smart cities is that on a general level, I think that geodata has the big ability to firstly produce context for our things. So when we're making sensor installations or analysis, without the location information behind it, it's very hard to understand where this phenomena is taking place and what is the environment that we're looking at. And in my opinion, the big potential there is also that location is one way to support data integration, actually. That when we have various data sources, if we can bring them to a same locational frame of reference, that helps us tremendously if we want to do analysis integrating data. Maybe I took it now to a very techie track, but sorry for that.
Yeah, that's actually quite an interesting view of having the common kind of identifier as location, where you can integrate all kinds of data points. Also, I think the really important thing is the scalability across borders, and that's kind of course, there's a lot of that's kind of standardization work going on in the world on a global level that aims for that, but it's really important to because I mean, as maybe the regions stay in place, but people don't. So whenever there's a possibility that we could utilize the same services in different cities in different countries, or at least in a similar way, that's kind of the scalability that individuals like and love.
Also, from my side, thinking of opportunities. So I would think in a direction of technologies that are emerging and pretty much quite certain that they are coming and they are going to change many aspects of our lives and also providing new business models. One of them being 5G and 6G. So this will probably exponentially grow the location data, as with 5G it is possible to very accurately measure the position of a device without using any other technology. And maybe just one example as well that I've been thinking about quite a bit is when will the drones become a major player in the city environment, the urban air mobility? So today it is not there yet for a reason or another, but fairly certain that at some point in the future they will have an impact on our lives.
Yes, very, very true and very interesting. We mentioned drones and technology and all of these. And also in the beginning, at least, we mentioned the human a bit. The human uses all these smart services. A human travels outside to other regions and countries. So I want to go back there for a sec. What would you say is the human role or the citizen role or the component of the human and citizen when planning or building a solution or application for these cities? What should you think of when planning a new service for the human?
Well, I mean, I think it's everything. The biggest, as we already discussed, that's kind of the biggest opportunity to really improve the citizen experience and life of the citizens through these more and more holistic applications. So yeah, I mean that's kind of there's a lot of, it shouldn't be just another app for another use case. We should be kind of steering the development in a way where we can actually get more and more easy and context-based real-time services, whether it's I'm somewhere at some certain point, I may have some need, and then I'm getting help for that, and not in a way that I have to do the work to find things and so on. So kind of switch it around to a better user experience. That's what I at least hope that this evolution will go to.
It's very important not to dehumanize the citizens in the cities, meaning that to reduce them into a bunch of sensors that they wear, but actually understand aspects of their lives and what one or the other solution could change in the equation. So we have one interesting pilot done in the city of Narva, for example, which is called Wellbeing Score. And although the pilot actually does measure persons like physiological responses to their environment, and they will get data based on this. But an important aspect is also that they will also consider the psychological aspects, and they will actually talk to the person as well. So it's very important not to reduce everyone to a sensor level.
Yeah, that's a good point. I'll sort of continue from Teemu's point of providing better services. I think that one of the big applications of having the human element present is the ability to be proactive in services. And that to be proactive in the cities, you need a lot of understanding, and usually behind this understanding there has to be data. And I'm not trying to turn the human element into technology necessarily, but saying that there is also a lot to be done with bringing the human element in as a data as well into these smart city systems. Many of them have been very, very focused on infrastructure or conditions or things that are easily monitorable by sensors. And this kind of steers the applications to the direction of infra optimization and stuff like that. And if we are able to bring in more data that is actually about the human, that in theory might also help us produce better insight and more human-oriented solutions as well. I think there's a number of maybe they're like first steps towards the direction that are currently occurring that we also see in our projects. One of them is that increasingly we need population data for applications that didn't require that beforehand. We've seen things like synthetic populations that are used in traffic simulation that are tremendously interesting, and there's a lot of work to be done there for calibrating those accurately. And this all goes towards forming a good understanding of how the traffic system in the city operates. Second thing is that feedback data is of interest for the cities. So we're seeing more and more interest in getting data also from the citizens and using that to guide the city actions, and not just in the way required by law. If you're erecting a new building or something, you're obliged to do a certain amount of commenting grounds and things like that. But also they're being more proactive and trying to find the problem before it actually becomes a problem.
Yeah, that's actually quite interesting perspective, and having kind of the data from citizens to improve the kind of system level operations is also interesting, even though I mean there's two kinds of data. There's active data that the citizens can give in different forms, but there's also kind of passive data, for example, that could be utilized from cell phones, etc. Kind of anonymous data of how people move in the city areas. One of the quite interesting study was that in the US they studied the cities after COVID, how different cities have recovered based on the movements of people. And one of the interesting results was that San Francisco, the heart of Silicon Valley, was the last city in the list that it hasn't recovered after COVID. So it's still really empty. People don't move around. Nobody uses services, restaurants, cafes. So that kind of intelligence that then can be utilized, kind of start to dig deeper on the reasons, and then maybe utilize that for improving the situation is something really interesting.
Yeah. Hey, sorry, Henry, if I cut short on this one, sort of continue after Teemu. I think that was a tremendously good example of also of how we need to have the human element also in data. If we think of phenomena like city centers becoming less active or commercial activity declining in city centers, that's a very sort of a economic-ish sounding phenomena. But actually to understand what is happening and especially understand why this is happening, you very much need the human element.
Yeah, I like the mentioning of the synthetic population is something that is also one of the technologies that I see that is sort of missing from the picture. Exactly, is the digital twin and the kind of a sandbox function of it. So when we can really play around with a city, with a city sort of a built environment or transport or climate or even legislation, and to understand the dynamics that changing one or multiple aspects of it, how the dynamics of the city will change. And this is something that could be developed, but also probably a little bit further in the future.
Yes, thank you so much for this. I will head over to my last question at least, and then let's see where we end up. We've discussed lots of benefits of using or building smarter cities and these smart location apps and so on. So we've mentioned the qualities such as the user interface and taking the human into consideration, and then the scalability and the tech and all of this. If you would have to say, what do you see as the most important qualities for a smart city application? It was a tough one.
Yeah, maybe I'll throw in an idea and then see if it also is of use for continuing the discussion. I kind of like to return to the interoperability theme. When doing various pilot projects, it's become apparent that actually replicability, scalability, and interoperability are super important if we ever want to take the steps of going from individual pilots or custom built solutions towards something that is truly used widely. And I kind of like to bridge this into modularization. So instead of thinking of big monolithic systems or big monolithic data, I think we should go in the direction of thinking linked systems and APIs that give you the data when you need it, and services that do tricks with the data when you need it. This is the only way that we can really build this as a network, and this is the only way that we can really scale it and extend it somehow. Otherwise, we're with every change, we're always stuck in the same sort of a definition problem and starting over again. In my opinion, we've had enough examples of very cool experimental projects that have produced one-off datasets and one-off applications. This is also a bit of a self-criticism as a person working in the research for quite some time and creating many one-off datasets.
Yeah, I really like that approach, and I think you actually define the kind of metaverse layer of our built environment in that sense that it really should be connected and interoperable and kind of making everything to make that happen. That is important, but in addition to that, I would like to emphasize the usability and easiness and maybe this kind of minimizing friction thinking on these applications. I think many of the apps that we use with our smartphones at the moment, they are still, well, some of them are frictionless and some of them are working really well and they're easy to use. But I think there's still a lot of room to improve and maybe going towards the evolution of kind of new technologies. Maybe in a couple of years we don't have the smartphones that we have today, but we have kind of a more integrated way of viewing and looking and maybe having these layers of augmentations within our cities and environment, maybe going towards that kind of a metaverse thinking. So there, I think the user experience is the key.
Mm-hmm. So just putting one and one together. So these are our sort of part of our vision and part of our mission. So to be human-centric and to be cross-border. So meaning interoperability and being able to exchange data through borders of countries and also always taking the user perspective on developing services. So it's just exactly what you just said. So
very, very good answers. Teemu, do you want to say something?
No, I'm fine, thanks.
All right. Thank you so much. I think it's been really interesting so far, and actually that takes my questions to an end, and I was thinking that I would save all the participant questions for you guys as well to the end, but since we have you here all in the chatting mood already, if someone already now has a very good panel discussion question on the top of your head, you can shout it out now and we'll take it as well. It was such a crystal clear conversation. No more questions. In that case, I give a big thanks to you guys for this, and please stick around until the end of the session as well if you have time to answer some questions then. But big thanks.
Maybe has a hand up. Sorry.
Yes. My question is to Sulev Öitspu. And it is about this finest Bay Area that is heading to have this Helsinki-Tallinn tunnel as part of Estonian party policies during the elections of this spring. And my question to Sulev Öitspu is, how far is the three-dimensional modeling of Estonian coast and the geology of Bay of Finland?
Okay, probably don't know about this geological mapping, but we have this or available also this seabed 3D model. So if you thinking about that, there, if you see this Estonian base map in web application, there you can see the seabed also, the deep model. But I think the geological data under the seabed, I can say which part is available.
Thank you.
Okay.
I'm gonna unmute myself. Then again, I give a big thanks. And thanks for a brave question. I like it a lot. I hope we have a lot of them in the end as well. If nothing else, then I could now jump forward for some practicalities and how to join. I already see some practicality related questions in the chat. So I'll take them now as I go. So as I said in the beginning, I'm part of organizing and facilitating the actual hackathon. So all the organizing stuff. So let's get into that. Yes, good question actually here. Now I'm gonna take it. I take everything back that I said. We got a question. Are the submissions open sourced or can we use proprietary code if we participate with a company team? Who wants to answer this question?
I guess I can take that one. Well, we can see the added value that open source code has, but of course, since the ultimate goal of this and basically every hackathon is to come up with usable solutions that have a real world value and business case behind it, and we understand that not everything can be open source code. So I would say that you can use your own non-open source code. However, we are hoping that like the solutions or applications that we get through this hackathon are not like some already ready-made solutions that you actually innovate something new with the data that we are providing. Taking into that account, then like I don't see any bigger problem using your own code. So to answer your question, you can use your own proprietary code.
Perfect. Thank you, Jonas. All right, then I will take over again. So the timeline, first of all, what happens next and where are we now? So you can even register to the event today if you haven't already done that. And you can register all the way until the 22nd of February. I will show you after, in a few slides, some screenshots of our event page. So we have the challenge event page that I can also put in the chat in a sec. And you have to make your profile first. So you make a profile and all of your team participants will make their profile. And then you register as a team and you make your team submission as well. And all the team members have to have joined the team submission before the deadline. Deadline, I said, 22nd of February, important date. All of your team info, all of your project submission has to be registered on the website by then. By team submission, we mean your project idea. What will you come up with, or what is your idea that you're gonna work on and innovate on using the data provided over the hackathon days. The day after, we have a team selection call with our partners. So the ones you've already met. The team selection means that we will go through your submissions and then actually approve and invite the chosen ones to the event. So all the approved teams will receive an email with all the onboarding information and so on. And you will receive one if you wouldn't get chosen either. But let's not talk about that. Only good vibes. We have places for all of you, so don't be scared of not being selected, but send in your application and we will be happy. A few days after, you will have a Meet the Mentors call. So as mentioned briefly, we will have expert mentors helping you out. Experts within the field, experts within the data sets, expert within business and all other areas as well, helping you out during the hackathon days. And these will be presented to you on a few days before the hackathon. So you will meet together, you will briefly introduce your solution in a 2-minute opening and tell us what you're going to do. And then you will already get the first comments from the mentors. This way you can develop your solution together with your team already before the hackathon, and you don't have to come there empty-handed, but you already know how to get started immediately. And then finally, we have the hackathon on the 2nd and 3rd of March. You can join either in Helsinki in the Maria 01 spaces, or then you can join online. So this is a hybrid event. As said, you will get support from our high quality mentors, and we will also have a high quality jury who will then give the final evaluation of your projects on the final day and also decide on the winners. And as you already heard, we have amazing prizes for those. And then we will do all of the hybrid and online things over Teams as a practicality. How do you find a team then if you don't have one? As said, register on our website, and then you can go to browse submissions and view participants to check out different projects that have already been submitted. So project ideas, look at interesting teams. If you have a team but you're missing some talent, go and look at the participants who are looking for a team, and you can matchmake like this. But if you need any help with that, let me know. Contact each other, join each other's teams, all of this, and be done with this before the 22nd of February. And as said, we have all the next steps after that we just went through. Here you can see a screenshot. I hope that everyone has visited this page already. If you haven't, then this is what it looks like. Here you can either apply to the hackathon or browse submissions, as I said. If this is a new page for you, you will have to register first. This is what it looks like, a very important step. Doesn't take long to create a profile, add your skills, and so on. And then we go back to either apply to the hackathon with your idea or browse existing ideas. And when you apply, you click on the apply, obviously. You can either create a team from scratch, add your members, add your idea, or then you can join an existing idea or an existing team. Perfect. Then, what is a winning team? What would you need? Start searching for your members early. That's my biggest tip. Do it already today. A team can be 2 people only, but in order for the workload to be divided more evenly, and then maybe you have more skill sets if you're more people, so we recommend 3 to 5 people per team. The team should be based on common interest, of course, and also, as said, complementary skills. Prepare. You don't need to wait until the beginning of the hackathon to do your research or already start innovating. Look into the databases, the market, who is your customer, anything that you find relevant for this hack. So you can start already in advance. That being said, as Jonas already mentioned, we do want you to also work at the hackathon. So we look, of course, at what you've done before, but it's very important that we can track your development during the hackathon as well. So prepare and work more, basically. And then next steps before I take some more questions. As said, sign up, look at the other teams, brainstorm together for ideas, submit your idea, ask me for any other info that you need. And do this by the 22nd of February. 23rd of February, look at your email because you will get a confirmation email if you've been selected for the hackathon. So keep your email open and wait until you hear from me. And after that, you follow all those instructions so that we can actually see what you come up with during the hackathon. Perfect. That was my super fast information. And now I would like to open the floor for more questions. We already got a few, but it would be very, very nice to hear more questions about the practicalities, about do you already want to introduce yourself or an idea that you're thinking of, but you don't have a team? Do you want to ask something from Jonas or Sulev or the panelists? Anything is available. No questions. I can't see if you have any hands. I see a camera. You can also write in the chat if that's easier. At least we have Janne looking for a team already. Very nice and very brave. Reach out if you need team members for your team or you want someone to brainstorm with. We have another question actually. Is it possible to come to Maria 01 without participating directly? We can discuss this further, but it would be good that the participating or the people joining the venue actually are participants, just to keep track. Also, since it's hybrid, we're not doing everything. So the pitching and the Q&A or the big announcements, they're also done in a hybrid manner. So we can discuss the possibility of someone joining those, but I'll get back to you on those details on how we will arrange that. Anything else or anything the partners would like to raise at this point? Something I forgot. No. In that case, I am looking forward to innovating with you and seeing you all at the actual hackathon in a bit over a month. I want to thank you all for participating. I want to thank all our partners and panelists, and I hope that you have a wonderful evening. Thank you.
Thank you very much. See you in hackathon.